today. Thank you guys for joining us for this particular session on feedback and as a part of the instructional design process in Canvas. So we are going to talk to you about some different options that you guys have related to feedback in Canvas, so that you are aware. Trish, should we talk to them? I know we had some discussions in the morning session about sharing courses with us so that we could see that. You think we should go over that before we begin?
Yeah, just in case. We've talked to Jake and Justin, but Aubrey and I don't have access to view your sandboxes. Usually we can just put in the URL and we can see in courses. So right now, so that we'll be able to see your submissions, we're going to suggest that you add us to the course that you're submitting your document from. And if you check the announcements in the Canvas course, I have listed both of our email addresses so that you can add us in any way you want, just so long that we can see what you've done, because we can't see anything right now, because every time someone submits something, we get the access denied. So just click add a person and then just put us in and we'll be able to see them. No problem.
Okay, and I added a resource. If you need support with adding a user into your Canvas, I just posted something in the chat that you can refer to if you need help with that. So that information is there. There was one other topic that we were talking about this morning, but I can't remember what it was. So if I think of it, we'll get to it. But I think that was the main thing. We wanted to make sure everyone knew. Oh, no, there was one thing. I'm sorry, now that I think about it. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I don't know that anybody who is here will falls under this category. Let me bring this up. So in our, nope, this isn't the right course either. So essentially what I'm trying to show you is we added a makeup assignment if you missed one of our sessions yesterday. So if you weren't able to attend one of yesterday's sessions, we did post, let me see if I can locate it. We did post an alternative assignment that you can go to from there to complete, to make up for the work that you may have missed from that particular session. No. It's on the homepage of the course. I'm not sure why I can't hold this up.
Because you're in a PDL course, there's too many.
Yeah. Well, I thought our PDL course had it in it, but maybe not. So yeah, if you go to the homepage of the course, what you will see is towards the bottom of it, you will see that there is I think it's in the blended course section, you will see that there is in bold, there's letters there regarding basically prompting you that if you missed yesterday's session, you can watch the video, watch the recording, and access it from there. Yeah, so here's the homepage, and under the blended course, here is the the prompt, so that if you if you were at yesterday's session and you fill out the attendance form, you don't have to worry about this at all. But we did have some people in the morning session that did. So yeah, if you fall in that category, you can just click on this link here, follow these directions. You're basically going to fill out this form. You're going to complete this document and then submit this document into this form after you watch the recording, which is located right here. So all that information is there if you needed it. All right. With that being said, we are going to begin today's session where we're going to be talking about feedback. We're going to spend the majority of our time together looking at some different options that you have as an instructor to provide students, to provide feedback to your students, excuse me. So we are going to go there. I'm just trying to jump back into my sandbox course, so I have a place to kind of play with for today's session. And if you want to follow along, I encourage you to do the same. You can open up your sandbox course and follow me from there. Just trying to get mine open, and it keeps jumping down. There we go. Okay, so when we talk about feedback, we're going to be focusing on three main things from here that we want you all to have some experience with. And one of them is feedback with our quizzes and seeing how you can include feedback for responses as a part of it. So we're going to show you where that is and what that looks like. We're also going to be talking about rubrics and showing you how you can design a rubric in Canvas and show you some different ways and how that will be set up, and hopefully give you a look at what it looks like from the teacher perspective. There's also resources in the course for this about how you can add rubric in different areas of Canvas, but we're going to try to show you a couple of them here. And the last thing is Speedgrader. We want to talk to you about Speedgrader and being able to use comments in the comment library and different things, different types of comments. So we're going to try to include all of that in this session. All right. So the first part we're going to begin with is with quizzes. And so quizzes is our assessment feature that's available in Canvas. There are a variety of things that you can build inside of quizzes. There's several question types that you can use. And what we want to focus on is being able to provide feedback to our students so they have a stronger understanding of the reasoning behind why certain answers or why certain responses were correct or why they were incorrect. We want to kind of move beyond students just answering to get the question right, but answering for understanding, that they can articulate and understand why the choices that they make for these assessments are correct or incorrect, and we want to support them with that through this feedback. So we're going to be talking about quizzes and showing you how you can do that. So just quickly, either by just a show of hands or you can put it in the chat. How many of you are familiar with being able to give feedback on quizzes? How many of you have, let me say it differently. How many of you have created a quiz in Canvas before? Okay, so I'm struggling with the thing. So have you all created quizzes before in Canvas?
Yes.
Okay, so I can see a couple of people should. Okay. So and I see, and a couple of you have not created a quiz before in Canvas. Okay. So then I will
created one in Canvas before, but all of our curriculum was provided for us. And so like in terms of quizzes and everything, that was just already all in there. Mm-hmm. And I was able to use Speedgrader and, you know, like give kids comments and then, you know, tell them go back and look at number 5.
Right.
Because you missed that one. And pretty much they would miss number 5 every single time because it was a more open-ended question.
Right. Okay. And so you've seen quizzes before, you just haven't created one before.
Correct. And
Okay.
pretty much that was, I don't know. I was 180 days of virtual, and in terms of creating our own curriculum, no, it was all already done. And basically we just had to add it in every time, like what was for that week. We would go over that in planning, but only thing that I really created was my own website, incorporating everything into it to make it pretty easy for kids to navigate.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, I will go over a few of the basics for creating a quiz. I don't think that you're going to have a different experience. I think you're going to courses are going to be blueprinted for you, and you should see quizzes and quiz questions already created for you. But I do think it is good to know how they are developed and how they're created, because you never know that you might receive some questions in there that maybe some of the answers are incorrect. Maybe the wording of it is unclear. Maybe you want to do something different for your students and be able to show them or assess them in a different way from how the quiz that you received is assessing them. So I will show you a little bit about being able to create quizzes in there, and then I'm going to talk to you about feedback. Okay, so I'm going to begin by going over here to quizzes, and we're going to create one right from here. And so whenever you want to create something new, I usually tell people to follow the blue button. So when you click quizzes and you want to create a brand new one, then you're going to go over here to this blue button, and then that's what's going to give you the ability to begin designing a brand new one. So we can click on that. When you click on quizzes, you are generally going to see two options. You're going to see a classic quizzes and a new quizzes. They are functionally, they are the same, but there is advantages and disadvantages of using both of them. We actually anticipated the classic quizzes would be gone by now. Information that we were getting from Canvas a year ago indicated that we would no longer have this classic option, but it's still around and it's still available. So many of the quizzes that I've seen in Canvas and some of our classes were done with classic quizzes. So I am going to utilize that, but just know that the new quizzes is an option. You do have a couple of additional question types in new quizzes that are really unique and interesting to use. But there is a little bit, there is a little bit of a drawback to the new quizzes too. Accessing them, progressing with them is a little complicated. So you just have to be aware of that. So I'm going to just create one with the classic quizzes for right now. So I'm going to choose this first one and click submit. It's going to bring you, notice right now I have 3 tabs. For the purposes of today, we are not going to be doing anything with Mastery Paths, so don't worry about that one. We're just going to focus on the first 2. So this first one is the details tab. This is where we can set up the parameters, the settings for this quiz. So I can give this quiz a name. So I'm just gonna, the question that I'm gonna be doing today is about fractions. So I'm just gonna give this one a dividing fractions quiz. And then here is where I can, in this box right here is our rich content editor. And then this is where I can add my directions, right? Anything that I think my students need to know to support them to complete this quiz. So I'm just gonna put answer all questions. And then you can include whatever you want. The rich content editor has a lot of different features, including links. You can include YouTube videos, pictures. I think you all have seen it by now. So that's there. And you can include any of that here in the directions. And then just below it, when you see your quiz, You're going to see some different options. You're going to see the quiz type. You're generally going to leave it as a graded quiz. But they do have some other ones in there that you can explore, but I'm gonna leave mine at graded quizzes. Assignment groups, you'll as you are building your quiz and as you guys create different assignment groups, you want to make sure you select the appropriate one. You'll see there's check boxes here. If I want this to sync to my PowerSchool, I can check this off. If I want to shuffle my answer choices, you can choose this one, and then every time a student takes a quiz, the answer choices will shuffle. You can set time limits if you want to. You can allow for multiple attempts. So if I check this box off to allow for multiple attempts, when I check it off, you'll notice it'll ask me which score do I want to keep, and I can designate I want to keep the highest score, the latest, and average. That is entirely up to you or to your school, whatever you have established as the standard for this. You can select whichever one. I'm just going to leave mine as to keep the highest score. And then under here where it says allowed attempts, this is where I can designate the number of attempts. So this little line right here, those two dashes, they mean infinite. So if I just leave it the way it is, and the students get an infinite amount. If I want to give them a specific number of quizzes, and keep in mind, this is for the entire class, I do have the ability to allow certain students to have more. If I know certain students have accommodations and they may need twice as many attempts as everyone else, you can go to an individual student and give them additional attempts. But if I wanted to allow my entire class a certain number of attempts, I can check this box and then type in the number of attempts that I want them to have. Okay, so that's the allowed multiple attempts. Here you're going to see underneath it what you want your students to see when they respond. So here it'll say, let students see their quiz responses. And then you'll see, but they'll be able to see that. And you can look at these and choose whichever setting that you think is best. I'm just going to leave it the way it is just for time's sake. And then I'm going to jump down here to the assign to section where we can give our quiz a date. So right now my quiz is assigned to everyone. You do have the ability to assign this to specific students. So if I just wanted to assign it to a certain student, I could click in here. And these are all the students who are currently in my class. I could choose somebody from here and assign it to that student. And they'd be the only one who'd be able to see it. I could, if I have sections, I could assign a quiz to a specific section or maybe even specific groups that you created here in Canvas. But that's kind of a different session. But just know that it'll default to assigning the quiz to everybody. But there is flexibility in terms of who you can assign it to. I can give my
We had this
Will-
trouble. Are you back?
yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. You froze up there for a minute.
It froze a little bit.
Oh, sorry. I was having some Wi-Fi trouble earlier. So I apologize if I go in and out. Yeah, so the last thing I was just saying is that you can include the dates here, due dates, availability of your quiz. Again, for the sake of time, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but just know that you can adjust the dates here. So that's the details part of your quiz. That's where you can set up all those important settings. So the next tab over is where we can add questions to our quiz. So I'm going to go over here and choose new question. So when I click new question, I have the ability to create a brand new one. You'll see up here a title where you can just leave it. I generally just leave it blank. You don't need to put anything, but you could label this if you wanted to. Maybe if you wanted to put a standard number there or another kind of label, you can certainly do that. Then you have the question type that's available here. So right now it's going to default to multiple choice, but just know you have a variety of other options. As I mentioned before, if you're doing new quizzes, they do have some additional type of question options. They have things like categories. So if you want the students to sort things by category, you can do that in the new quizzes. They also have what's called a hotspot question types. So in the hotspot question type, you could include an image of something and you can ask the students to identify something in the image. Maybe you have a picture of a group and you want the students to identify a specific person, maybe a president or a character or something like that. You could do that with a hotspot question where they click on it, and if they click the right person or the right area, it'll mark them correct. But that's in the new quizzes. That's not an option for the classic one that we're doing. So just for, I'm just going to leave this as a multiple choice. So in here, you're going to see I have my question or my area where I can add my question. So here is one of the questions, one of the spaces that I can go to add a question. I'm just going to do something very basic. I'm just going to say I'm just going to do a simple math question. And then, so just a simple question. And then below my multiple choice question, I can add different answers. And so I can go through here and put potential answers. I'm just going to put those in there. And then you'll see those are all the answers. And then you're going to see one of them is the correct answer. Now you'll see it be the first one. You don't have to make the first option to be the correct answer. So you can go down here and select which one of these is the correct answer. So you can always go about do that. Don't feel like you have to make the first option the correct answer. Although in our settings, we did set it up so that our multiple choice questions, our answers are shuffling. So if you make it the first one all the time, it won't matter if you're shuffling those, but if you're not, then you will want to make sure that you put it in different areas and then just mark it by clicking next to it. If I needed to add additional choices to this, there's a button down here to add an additional answer choice. So I could click on that. And now I'd have an additional one here to include. If I decided I didn't need that, I can always go over here and click this trash can. And that would remove that question. And then whenever you are done with your question, with building your question, you can always hit, well, you'll have to hit update question. If you don't hit this update question button, it won't show in your quiz. So you have to make sure you select that update question button, and now you have it as a part of your quiz. Okay. You also have the ability while I hear, because I'm going to show you the question that I wanted to work from today. You do have the ability also to find questions. So you can pull questions from other quizzes, from other courses where you are the instructor. So if you are a teacher in other courses, you can pull those questions into a different Canvas course. So I can go over here to find questions. I can click on that. And here I can see the questions where I am a teacher. And so I could go through here and locate one of these quiz questions here and pick one. Let's just say I wanted to do one of these old sports ones. I can click on it and select these. And once I find it, I can click add questions, and then now those questions will be a part of my quiz. Okay. So that's just some of the basics of being able to create a quiz questions. You do have the ability whenever you need to, kind of just going back to what I was saying before, about being able to modify the quizzes that you get. Once you get your quizzes, if you can always come and take a look at them here. If there's any problems with any of them, if there's anything that needs to be fixed or updated, you can always go into the quiz, and if you want to update a specific question, you can click this pencil, and that'll bring you back to this question, and then that will give you the ability to go in here and modify any parts of the question. Maybe the answer isn't selected properly. You can choose the correct answer, or add some more context within the question. So just know that that part is there. What I do want to do is I'm going to jump to a different quiz that I created, or that I really just uploaded from here, and I want to just show you some of the feedback options. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to this quiz, and I'm just choosing to edit it, and I'm using some questions from here, and I just created one today that I wanted to use, and I created this new one based off of some of the questions I was getting from the previous sessions. A fraction question, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to edit this one, and I'm going to edit it by inserting some of the feedback. And so one of the things I want to mention to you about the feedback is you will see these boxes that are underneath each one of the answer choices. You'll see these boxes underneath each one of the answer choices, and you will also see these boxes at the bottom. These are your feedback options. And so let me just make sure that each of these are clear. So starting from the bottom, you have these boxes, and the green one is the response that will display for correct answers. So if I click inside this green box, you'll see I get my rich content editor, and then I could type in whatever I want to. I can enter in whatever I want for this question. And this is what will display for my students when they respond correctly to this question. Okay. The red box is the response or feedback that will display if the student gets an incorrect answer. So let me be clear about this. When I click on the box, it gives me the same options. I could type in whatever I want, but just note that for any incorrect response that the student chooses, if I enter something in here, this is the response they will see. I'm just going to type in nice try. And if I put in this down here, what that means is if a student chooses C, they're going to see this feedback. If they choose D, they're going to see this feedback. Any wrong response will result in them seeing this specific feedback. And this last one is comments that will be left for all students, no matter if you get it right or wrong. So just that's what those three are. Okay. Now, the boxes underneath the answer choices, these are more specific to that answer. So if a student selects A for this one, which is the correct answer, or actually it's not A, I think it's B is actually the correct answer. So if a student chooses A for the correct, as a correct answer, if I go in here to give them feedback, this feedback is specific for this answer. So whatever I type in this box, this is the feedback they will see if they choose this answer. Even though it's wrong, I can provide them feedback for specific answers. And so, for example, I might say for the students who choose this one, so just as a frame of reference, the point of this question is asking them to divide these two numbers. And so maybe I say for this one that Maybe my feedback is nice try. Instead of dividing these two mixed numbers, it looks like you added those two mixed numbers. So maybe you give them that kind of feedback. And maybe for the last one, you say, good guess. For this, to get 13 and a half, you have to multiply these numbers, and we're looking for you to divide these numbers. So, I mean, it can be worded much better than that, but you can provide specific feedback for each of the answer choices, as opposed to down here at the bottom. These are general feedback for all correct responses and general feedback for all incorrect responses. Is there any question about that? Does that make sense? Okay, just wanted to make sure we had some questions about that. So it is, this is time consuming to do this. I fully recognize that, but I will also say I do think being able to provide this kind of feedback for our students is a valuable part of the learning experience. So when possible, when you have the resources to be able to do that, you can collaborate with your colleagues. I think that this is a great tool to use to support learning. Okay, so that is the feedback option in quizzes. The next part I wanted to talk to you about was rubrics and the use of rubrics to establish expectations for assignments and to use them to evaluate student performance whenever they are submitting things like presentations and papers and products, whatever it is that you are asking them to submit that may be something that is can be submitted through an assignment, or maybe something that's out of the ordinary. Having a rubric is a valuable tool to do some of the things that I just mentioned before, setting those expectations and using it as an instrument to evaluate how the students did. And so there's a couple of places in Canvas where you can go ahead and create these rubrics. So I'm going to mention I want to show you a couple of places where you can do this. So in your course navigation menu on the side here, you have a button here or an option here to go to rubrics. And so when I click on this here, this is going to take me to all the rubrics that have been created in Canvas. So you see I have one here for analytic rubric and for a reflection writing. And what I generally like to do in this part is I like to include rubrics that I'm going to reuse. So if there's a rubric, for example, like maybe a discussion rubric, maybe I like to use discussions regularly in my course, I could create a discussion rubric and then reuse that rubric over and over again for each of my discussions. So I think that is one helpful way to build your to build your rubric in this section. Okay. So if I wanted to go about creating a rubric, I'm going to actually just recreate one. So I'm going to get rid of this one because I'm going to recreate it for you all to see. If I want to create a brand new rubric from here, after I've selected rubrics here, I can select add rubric. And then this is what will pop up. This is where I can begin designing my rubric. And just so you know, I have a sample rubric that I just found online that I'm just using as an example. By no means am I suggesting that this is an exemplar rubric. I'm just using it as a basis to add content to a rubric in Canvas. But I want to be clear, I'm not suggesting that the rubric that I'm about to put together in here is an exemplar rubric. So I am going to call them, give my rubric a name so that when I want to quickly find it. So I'm going to call it my analytic rubric, excuse me. Give that one a name. And then I have these three sections. I have a criteria, a rating, and my points. So my criteria, I can set up a criteria here. I'll have the ability to set up multiple criteria from here. And all I would need to do to set up a criteria, so this is just one of the things I'm going to be measuring or evaluating when I'm reviewing student work. So if I want to create a brand new criteria, I can click on the pencil, and that will give me the ability to add a description for the criteria. And I can include a longer description if I need to as well. So for right now, I'm just going to include this one in here, my comprehension of text, as one of my criterias. And I'm going to choose this update criteria. And then there you see it displays there. Okay. You'll see underneath it, I do have the ability to set up a range. So if I check this off, when I go over here to my ratings, instead of something just being a flat point value, I can set that particular rating to be a range as opposed to just one flat number. For right now, I'm just going to leave it unchecked, but just know that that's what that range means. So over here, I currently have 2 ratings. You have a full marks or no marks. And this is just either you mastered this or you didn't master it. And you'll see for each one of these, they both have a pencil. So this is where I can go in here and add a little bit more detail to each one of these. So I'm going to go inside of here and click on the pencil. My full marks for this. So there's my point value. I could adjust that if I needed to. I'm going to leave it the way it is for right now, but I could adjust that. I could give this a different title. Instead of full marks, I can name it something else, mastery or meets expectation, but I'll leave it at full marks for right now. And then down here at the bottom, I'm going to include my rating description. So this is me telling my students what I'm looking for. And again, this is not an exemplar. This is just an example. And then I'm going to choose update rating. And then now there it is. There's my new setting for this, my new description for this rating. Now, if I want more ratings beyond this, if I don't want to just have a full marks and a no marks, I can include some additional ones by clicking this circle with a plus sign in it. So I can select that, and then you'll see it'll open up a brand new brand new rating that I can include in here. And so I'm going to go in here. I'm going to type in, this is going to be, I'm going to call this close to full marks. And I'm going to paste my description in here. I can update the point value to this to be whatever I want it to be. I'm going to go from 5 to 4 and choose update rating. And now I have 2 ratings here. And I could continue to do this. I can continue to build this out. If I wanted another one, I could go over here and now I have another one, a new title. Then I could give this a description and just paste it in here. Whoops. And there it is. And now I have another one. And I could continue, I could keep going and continue to build these out to have more ratings, more scales. And you could build that up to your liking. I am generally someone who likes to keep it very simple and establish expectations and explain what those are in the rubric. And that is basically what you have. You can meet those expectations, or you can see the no marks section and understand the things that you're missing. But it's up to everybody. It's up to each own creator of the rubric to decide how you want to structure it. Notice that in this point section, it is going to automatically insert the total number of or the highest point value over here. So it's going to include this 5 as a point value because that's what the highest one is set to. So you'll see that part there match up with the point value. Okay. So now we have one criteria. So now if we wanted to add an additional one, I could go over here and click this plus criteria button and select it. And once I do that, it's going to give me a couple of options. I could add a brand new criteria. So this is going to basically allow me to start from scratch and give me a brand new row with the same things or the same setup. And I can just build a brand new criteria. I can also just duplicate the previous one or a current one that we have. So if I wanted to, I could just duplicate that comprehension of text option. And then now you'll see I'm asking for a different description. So I can give it a brand new one and let that be my next criteria. So this one will just be textual evidence. And so, I just duplicated it because my point value system is going to be the same. And now all I need to do is just adjust the description for each one of these. So I could go through here, select the pen, and for this particular criteria. And I would go here and do all of these. And for time's sake, I'm going to make this the last one, but I just wanted to just give you an idea of how this would be created. Okay, so once I am done, assuming I just wanted these two criterias in my rubric, again, like I said, you could build more criteria, but for right now, I'm just going to stop there. Once you're done, you can click Create Rubric. And now I have my analytic rubric ready to use on my assignments. Okay, and so now I could go and apply this to multiple assignments. And so what I could do is I could come over here and I'm just going to create a brand new assignment. And I'm just going to call this my social media assignment. And in this assignment, I'm going to ask students to share 3 strategies for using social media in a positive manner. I know that's vague, but I'm just using that for right now. I'm going to leave my point value at 100. I'm doing that on purpose, and you'll see why here in a second. You'll be able to change the assignment groups. I'm leaving my submission type to be online, so students will be able to turn something in via text entry, or they can submit like a Google Doc or something like that. If I wanted to, I could let them upload a Word document or something, but I'm just trying to move through here for the sake of time. I'm going to set a due date, and I'm going to save and publish it. So I've created a brand new assignment. And what you'll see now that I've created the assignment, I now have an Add Rubric button. So the Rubric button will display once you have created the assignment and you saved it. You won't be able to see it until you have created the assignment and saved it. So once that is done, I can click this Add Rubric button, and then you will see I could create the rubric directly from here. So keep in mind, as I said before, the rubric button over here, and this is just how I generally operate with it. The rubric button over here, I like to go here to create rubrics for any rubric that I'm going to be using in multiple assignments. However, if I have rubrics for specific assignments, like if I just had a rubric that was just going to use for just this assignment, I would usually go to the assignment, click the Add Rubric button, and then just build it from here. There is no right or wrong answer. It's whatever is easiest for you. But now that I'm here, instead of building my rubric, I could just go find the one that I created before. So I can click Find Rubric, and it will let me navigate to my course, which is right here. And then there's my analytic rubric that I just created. I can select it and then choose Use this rubric. And now it will display in the course. Your students will be able to see it, and you will be able to see it. I'm going to show you what that looks like here in Speedgrader 2. So one other thing I do want to mention here for your once you've applied your rubric to an assignment, I'm going to click this pencil one more time. And I want to go down here. I just want you to see these check boxes here. So they do have some options where you can write some free form comments. You can remove the points from the rubric, and they have some different ones, but the one that I'm going to check off for right now is this option that says use this rubric for assignment grading. So I can use this rubric to grade the assignment. So I'm going to check this off, and I'm going to choose update rubric. So now I can just check off the rubric when I want to grade. Now you'll notice it's going to give me this message, and the message is basically saying, hey, you created this assignment to be 100 points, but your is only 10. Do you want to leave it, or do you want to fix it? And so I'm going to elect to change it so that my rubric and the value in my rubric and the value in my assignment are the same. So I'm going to click change. And so now my assignment value is 10 and the value of my rubric is 10. Okay. So now I have my rubric all set up. So what I'm going to do now, just to show you an example, is I'm going to go into student view, and I'm just going to complete this assignment. Notice in student view and go over here as a student, I'll be able to see the rubric. So I'll have a good idea of what I'm being graded on. So I can use this to construct my responses. So that's a helpful tool as a student. But I'm going to go in here and just type in a response. I'm just going to put in some basic text there, and just going to click submit assignment. Oh, there's an error. Did I forget something? What am I missing? I'm not sure why it's not showing that. Okay, so since it's not going to let me submit this, actually, let me just leave student view and try it one more time to see what it does. Error submitting. Okay, that's all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a different assignment so you can get an idea of what seeing the rubric looks like. I'm also going to show you Speedgrader. So this is a previous assignment. This is the one that I used from this morning. So I can go over here to Speedgrader. And in Speedgrader, I will be able to see any of my submissions. Now, currently, it is currently on a student that has not submitted anything. So I'm going to go to my test student that did submit something. So I can click on it. And then what you're going to see is you're going to see in this open space, you'll see the student's work. So here you'll see the text that the students submitted. So I will be able to view this. If the student turned in a file, the file will display here, so I'll be able to see that. The nice thing about the file option is when a student submits the file, like a Word document or a PDF or a PowerPoint or something like that, you have the ability to add some annotation to it. So if you wanted to circle, highlight, point to, you can do all of that right here in Speedgrader. So that's a nice feature that you'll be able to do. If they submit to you a Google Doc or really any Google file, you'll have the ability, depending on how they submitted it, to click the link to open it, or sometimes depending how it's submitted, you'll be able to see it right here as well. So once you take a look at their submission, you can evaluate their assignment, and what you will see, it's not showing now because this one's already been graded, is you will generally see a view rubric button, and the view rubric button will give you the ability to see your rubric, and then you can just click on each one of the, you can go to a criteria and click in the rating scale, and then it'll just add up and calculate the grades based off what you selected. So it's just nice because all you're doing is clicking to be able to see it. So it usually would show here if I wanted to see it. But anyway, that part will be displayed here for you to be able to do. They do have, the nice thing also about the rubric is in the criteria, you do have the ability to leave comments in there too. So you can leave comments in the rubric so that to let students know why maybe they didn't get the full marks. Maybe they did something that they thought they would get full marks, and you can explain to them what was missing or what pieces need to be added to get it to full marks. So that can be included in the rubric. You can also add feedback and comments down here at the bottom. These will just be general comments that will apply to the entire assignment, as opposed to in the rubric, you could apply feedback to specific criteria. The nice thing about the comments that's available here is Canvas has a comment library that you can build. So if you have comments that you're using regularly for multiple students over and over again, or multiple assignments, you can reuse those. You don't have to type them over and over again. So over here is the comment library. So you can click on this, and you see here's one of my comments. So in some of the grade, a lot of times people will submit something and their submission is private. It's not that the sharing permission wasn't done correctly. So I tell people to update their sharing permissions. And so this is a part of my comment library that I just use. And whenever I want to use it, I can just click on it, and then it'll apply to my comments. And if I wanted to add something to my comment library, I can just go down here and type in whatever I want, and then add it to my library, and then it's ready for me to reuse. So that's a nice thing about the comment library. In addition to that, you do have some different features that are available for comments as well. And that's being able to include attachments as a part of it. So if you wanted to include an attachment for the student to reference, you could do that. Sometimes we have students who will understand things better when it's spoken to them. So you can record feedback. So if you'd rather record yourself or just do an audio record, you have the ability to click here and record yourself speaking the feedback to the students. And there's also a speech recognition. So you can talk into Canvas, and then it'll pick up your voice and turn it into text in the comment option here as well. So those are just some different options there for this assignment. But that is essentially Speedgrader, and being able to leave feedback for that. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to show you the rubric in Speedgrader, which is a little disappointing, but maybe if any of you are interested in it, I'll tell you, there's videos in Canvas that we can send to you and show you how to use the rubrics for grading in Canvas. And I believe there's information in the course about that as well. So I apologize that it wasn't.
Carrie, go ahead.
For this. So did anyone have any? I'm sorry.
Carrie has a question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. I was wondering about that comment library you were just speaking on in the feedback when you're grading. In the comment library, I've never used the comment library, but it's I didn't even realize it was there. so I think that would be great for like, especially the example that like, you gave. There's a lot of times I feel like I'm reinventing, or not having to reinvent. I'm just redoing the same comment to many students.
Right.
In that comment library, will it maintain your library throughout all your courses, or is it just for that one course, or is it, how does it, just for a section, or?
So the comment library is fairly new. It wasn't when we had courses here last year. That wasn't an option. I realized or noticed the comment library when I started typing feedback into the comments, and at some point I got a pop-up saying, "Do you want to add this to your comment library?" And I was like, well, what are you talking about? And then I realized what it was pointing to, and then that's where I saw it. So I will tell you this: the comment that you saw in my comment library is a comment that I left in another course.
I like
so
that.
I'm almost 90% sure that comment did not was not left here in this course. So this course that I'm showing you is my sandbox course. I have no students, I have no real students in here that I'm doing anything with. I just play in here.
So our comment library may follow the account holder.
Yes.
Versus the course in the sections. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm a CTE teacher and I teach, AB and, two different kids. So I teach 265 different kids throughout the year. And it's like, I thought, oh gosh, I have so many different sections. And if I have to recopy that for every single section in my Canvas, that would just get, pretty. So that's great. That's great if that possibly does that. Thank you so much.
I don't want to, like I said, I'm still, this is still very new, like less than a month. I've been using it for probably less than a month, and I'm still getting used to it as much as I can. So I'm not 100% sure, but I know the comment that is in there is a comment that I created in another course. I do know that.
And the rubrics, speaking on the same line of thought, the rubrics, they stay specific to that course, don't they? When I create a rubric?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So when I put in that click that find a rubric, it's only going to be the rubrics I created for that specific course.
Well, so when you go to find a rubric, let me see if I can go to a different assignment. You are given the ability to look at other courses. So if I were to go to one of my assignments,
you're right. On the left side, it did have the different courses listed. So you could pull a rubric, because like I have the 3 preps, so I could pull a rubric from one of my other preps into.
As long as you are the instructor, you should be able to pull your rubrics from any other course where you are an instructor.
Awesome. Thank you. That's great.
Okay. I do want to just make sure that everyone was able to see that Trish posted the attendance in the chat area. And so I'm happy to stay a little bit longer to answer any questions that you guys have or to clarify. But I do want to just make sure you all saw the attendance. And once you fill that attendance out, you're welcome to sign off and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. It is Wednesday, right? Yes, Wednesday. Sorry. So you're welcome to enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We appreciate you joining us. But yes, if you have questions, feel free to stay on, unmute yourself and ask. But once you fill out that form, you're welcome to sign off. Thank you all for coming.